Hello once again, it's me. I thought I'd just give you a bit of an information video again today. I was having a long conversation yesterday with a gentleman from Perth, another explorer into the third gender, and it just sparked a whole bunch of questions which I tried my best to write out as we had the long conversation, but it also just prompted me to think, well, I want to do more on the subject of ladyboys and dating in Thailand. So I'm going to do another one of those videos. It seems like people want more information. That's what I've been. One of the things that seems to be quite common is people want to know more. Now, there's plenty of information out there if you are looking. But again, here's me living in Thailand. Been dating a ladyboy for 9 years, or I've been nearly coming up to 10 years now. So I've made a bunch of notes, 10 in all, of the common questions that people are asking me. I thought, well, let's do a video. Anyway, if you like this sort of stuff, just let me know. The best way to tell me you like it is hit that thumbs up, guys. Ask more questions. The more people ask questions, the more I'm prompted to do this sort of video and give you my thoughts and feelings on the matter. Anyway, let's cue that intro and we'll take a seat at the temple. Yeah, so I'm in the shade to keep out of the sun, of course, but that's our little village temple. This is the one that protects our village green or village area, our muban. And it's a nice place to sit down. Let me just get this camera just right. Just got to get the frame, it's all to do with framing and everything else. But anyway, so as I said, this video topic today is ladyboy dating in Thailand. As I said, people have been asking lots and lots of questions. So, well, I don't want to ever claim to be an expert on this matter. I've just experienced in the matter, and I've had 9 years, or actually, well, longer experience, but let's just say for succinctness, I've had 9.5 or nearly 10 years experience in this matter, and I've met a good many of Shonia's friends, and I have a fairly good feeling that I have an insight into their thoughts and feelings. So, well, let's get on and discuss it. To start out, the first point I want to do there, that the different types of girls and terms that were used. Now, the first thing you need to know is the fact that under no circumstance when you meet these girls anywhere would you be calling them a ladyboy or a she-male or a tea-girl. Or anything that has a context to the porn industry. Now, the term ladyboy here in Thailand is an accepted term, and I will argue that one black and blue for all the people who tell me it isn't. But it is an accepted term when you're in the circle. But you've got to get in the circle first. Once you get in the circle, right, ladyboys themselves call themselves ladyboys, right? It's a sort of a term of endearment. It's just like it's a solidarity movement, you might sort of say. There is another term that gets used through Western circles, and that is katoi. Now, this term is derogatory, and under no circumstances should it be ever used, even in the inner circle, because these girls spend their life trying to be feminine, and the term katoi is like a Western term, very similar to cross-dresser. Basically, it's a male who likes to dress up in women's clothes. and pretty much live a male lifestyle until it's, you know, convenient to live a female lifestyle. That's more the Katoi term. Like they're the fake ladyboys. So moving on from that, so don't use that term. The actual correct terminology, there's two words that are used in a non-derogatory sense, and that's they're describing the actual gender type that they are. There is one which is a transgender. That is a male to female transition where they still have their primary anatomy. So they are living the life of the opposite sex, and they identify as the opposite sex. And that also means that the girls becoming boys as well. The other proper term is transsexual. Now, transsexual is somebody who has actually gone under the knife and had, I'm getting eaten by mosquitoes. Eaten by mosquitoes? In Thailand? No, seriously. There's a few bugs ready. Yeah, so sorry, rabbit. Yeah, so transsexual is somebody who has actually gone under the knife and had their primary gender anatomy altered via a surgeon. So that will be a male having their genitalia operated on to become female, and again it's a female having surgery to have male anatomy. So that would be transsexual. Most people get these terms wrong. Most of it's through a lack of education and of course in a bad media and bad press. I'm trying to give this whole angle as above board as possible. I'm trying to sort of clarify a whole bunch of stuff that's misconstrued out there in the wider world. So they're the basic terms. When you meet them, so I think I covered this one a bit more further on, but generally a ladyboy here in Thailand, which is really the focus here, you would treat them and call them and use all the gender pronouns as it was a she, right? That's the best way to approach the situation. They spend their life becoming female and they want to be identified as a female. So don't start using those weird and wonderful, satirical terms, things that can call your intent into question. Again, there'll be a whole bunch of guys looking at these videos here whose one goal is to date ladyboys on a night-by-night basis and try a different one every day, you know what I mean? Not really talking to those guys, but again, if you're doing that, what's stopping you from forming more of a serious relationship with just one girl? It's one of those sort of things. What are you drawn to? Is it the sex? Is it the heart connection? Anyway, we'll cover all that. The second question that probably comes out the most is, are you gay for liking a ladyboy? I would have to sort of completely denounce that statement. I, under no circumstances, consider myself gay. I find no sexual attraction in the male physique. And when I have dated ladyboys that are what they call pre-op, the least thing on my mind is the genitalia between their legs. Now, I haven't dated a pre-op for quite some years, but that was in my earlier 20s when I was doing that, and even back then it was a very much a secluded part of society, but under no circumstances would I ever consider a male who finds the female form attractive, right? How can they ever be called gay, right? You are attracted to the female form, right? Just because they have an extra bit of anatomy between their legs doesn't make it you're gay, unless of course you are specifically dating them, right, just for their anatomy, then that does call that situation into question. But most of the time it's the connection you will make with these girls. You find a better harmony in the relationship because you tend to think along the same lines. Basically they have the dysphoria of their gender, but they have spent a portion of their life as male. They understand the male thinking right up until that point in time, and they spend the rest of their life changing that thinking. So they sort of see it from both sides. So under no circumstances would I ever consider a male dating a ladyboy gay, and people who are saying that, they're the sort of people you want to distance yourself from because they're not going to help you in your journey. Number 3, how can I meet a ladyboy? This is going to sort of, questions point 3 and point 4 are going to sort of tie in together, right? But how do you meet a ladyboy? Well, quite frankly, it's just like meeting any girl, really. First, you've got to have an eye for them. Now, the best distinction you can make, especially here in Thailand, there's 2 things that will pretty much point out a ladyboy in general company. One is their height, and secondly is the timbre in their voice. That's usually the first 2 signs that you will pick up on. It doesn't necessarily mean that this is a guarantee under no circumstances, but it is a sort of a pretty good sign. The question is, what are you looking for, right? And that's the thing that I always get back, right? Are you looking at the whole person, or are you looking at their genitalia, which you can't see in general company anyway? Are you looking at their groin area to see if there's a bulge? Well, come on, right? If that's all that's attracting you, well, seriously, this video is not for you. It's basically, if you're coming to Thailand, you're better off going to Nana Plaza. There's 50 girls at the front of Nana Plaza there that will happily take your money, right, and give you an experience that you can take home and share with your friends, right? But as I said, I'm talking to the people here who are looking here for a relationship. Getting on to point 4, which is how do I meet ladyboys on the internet? This is probably one of the more safer areas that explorers will try to use, right? But there's things and there's things out there, like there's dating sites. Now, I will link one dating site that I am familiar with. Now, I was actually talking with Cyril, I think first he got by the name Simon, and his girlfriend Mackie. They live in the Philippines. This is probably about 9 or 10 years ago. He was sort of setting up a website or a dating site back then. He's now taken that to 4 or 5 different countries. I'm not quite sure of the numbers now, but is one of the more well-respected. It doesn't mean that it's completely devoid of the scammers, but they do try to police it very well. The girls coming on are given, I believe, free accounts, whereas the males have to take a membership. I think most of them operate that way, but they try to keep everything above the board. Cyril's done a whole bunch of books on ladyboy dating. He's a younger, these bugs are bugging me, he's a younger gentleman, I think in his late 20s, early 30s. He's from France, and we got together back in the very early days of him setting up the website. He asked me a lot of questions about my experience, so he was bouncing ideas, his experience, because his girl, I still believe, is what we call non-op, which means she doesn't want to actually undergo the full gender reassignment. She prefers to keep that original anatomy, but she's as much a female as any female, just with a different set of anatomy. Ooh, these bugs, they're not really, I don't think they're mosquitoes. I think they're more just midges. don't really want to sit out in the sun. I'm trying to keep out of the sun. Anyway, sort of got distracted again. Meeting on the internet. Let's get back to the point. I don't want to drag this video out too long. It's a real hit and miss game, right? Most of the scam artists are on the dating sites, right? That means that they're going to have a number of different male suitors. Their object is to obviously garnish your money from those males, right, in the vain attempt that the males think that they're going to build up a relationship, and when they get to Thailand they're going to have an exclusive relationship with these girls. It's a great money spinner for the girls. Don't forget, the girls over here in Thailand, they are very, very limited to their vocational opportunities. They are still a third gender. It's not very well catered for over here, which we'll cover a little bit later on. But meeting them on the internet, right, I really think the best way is to make contact with people, right, in some of the groups on Facebook. Don't forget, when you're looking at Facebook, this is they work on the public principle of what people are posting about their life. Whereas a dating site, you make a profile and you tell the opposite partners that you're looking for what you want to say, right, in an overview of your good side. Whereas if you actually find them on Facebook, you're going to see some posts, some ideas, what their feelings are, what their political sort of aspirations are, how they are with friends, who they're dating, who they're seeing, right? So if you are meeting them on a dating site, right, that's one introduction service. But really, what you need to be doing is you need to be moving out of that private circle into the public arena. If the girls are not prepared to move into that public arena and meet you in a public space on the internet, then they're probably not the sort of girls you're looking for. So that wraps up point 3 and 4, I think, is the best way I can describe. Facebook is a great way to meet them. Google Plus, not so much. That's sort of on the way out. There's not really many other sort of circles out there as popular as Facebook. Facebook's the one that people know. I think over here in Thailand there's an app called High Five. I know when I started dating Shania, we were using the High Five system because Facebook really hadn't taken off in 2009 over here. So High Five was the one. I think another one that seems to be quite popular over here, but it's got a lot of scammers, is Baidu or something of that nature as another name. I know I've subscribed to them, 10 years ago and 9 years ago, just checking out the competition, but really they didn't turn me on. Those sort of things they never made sense, and even back then it was just really a raw field. Anyway, moving on. What types of girls should I avoid? Should you avoid? Should I avoid? Well, that's a real can of worms again. It's going to come down to the two types of men that are looking, right? There's a good percentage of men are looking for the experience, right? And, they don't really have aspirations for having a serious relationship. Well, those men, your best bet really is to hang out at the places like Nana, Soy Cowboy, Pat Pong, Pattaya, I think Soy 6. There's a number of Ladyboy bars down the end of Soy 6. I can't really contact me locally. I'll have to ask a few other Pattaya denizens what all the favourite places are down there. Again, there'll be places down in Pat Pong. All the touristy areas will have a separate area where they congregate. If you're just looking for the one night experience, look, seriously, they appreciate the money. I'm not supporting the whole idea, but this is Thailand. Money rules everything. And you're going to get what you want, they're going to get what they want. Right? I'm talking to the guys that are looking for a serious relationship. Right? So what girls should you avoid? You avoid the ones that hang around in those areas. Quite simple. It's not a you know, like an IQ test. The ones there that are looking for your money, they're not the ones that you want to be dating. You'll find those people at shopping centres, marketplaces, just generally in the street. The best way to do this is to be yourself, always dress respectably, well groomed, right? If you're living here, right, be comfortable with living here so that you have, right, a foot, you know, and have a foothold, right? Find, you know, less like dating normal girls. You just have to sort of look around, using the, you know, those key pointers. Say hello, right? You'll find a lot of ladyboys do have the command of English language. It's part of what they want. They're trying to be better than everybody, or than the female population. Now, the females tend to outweigh males here in Thailand as being better English speakers. So a ladyboy, again, is always trying to be better than the females, so they try even harder to understand English, to command the English language. The other sort of side again is, you know, the ladyboys for hire. They also have a use by date. So depending on your age, if you're over 50 and you've taken a retirement visa over here, right, you may not be wanting to date the 25-year-old ones. Again, they have a use by date, right? Probably by the age of 35, they're pretty much no longer sought after in the street because those gentlemen are looking for the younger experience. So they have to make decisions in their life, and they don't really have many opportunities for jobs. So they find themselves working in street markets, shopping centres, anything that doesn't really involve legal oversight, because they are still considered that gender with a few screws loose by the society that runs Thailand. Does that make sense? The army won't take them. They are classified as mentally unstable. So when it gets to the conscription time at the age of 20, if they have had breast implants or if they have been taking hormones, the army simply will not take them. They just basically write on their application, mentally unstable, and that's it. That's the end of the story. They're allowed to leave. So that covers that sort of. How do you approach them? Yeah, that's how do you approach them? Okay, the next question, number 7. Will I get AIDS dating a ladyboy? Well, quite frankly, you can get AIDS having unprotected sex with any gender. It's a bottom line thing, right? If they have the viral infection, if anybody has the viral infection and you have unprotected sex, and there is what they call a bloodletting or a blood, infusion, where their blood enters your bloodstream, vice versa, you know, then you will acquire the syndrome as well, right? It is the acquired immune deficiency syndrome, right? The virus is HIV, and it is not exclusive to ladyboys. It just happens to be sort of transmitted easier through that male intercourse procedure, because that apparatus is really not designed for that sort of operation, if you know what I mean. And you can quite easily sort of have a blood transmission through that process. But again, you can quite easily get the same thing having anal intercourse with a female if she has AIDS. So don't try to think that this is exclusively transgender side of life. I know many straight people have acquired the disease through what they call needle stick injuries from unclean needles, where they are completely sort of cisgender, They just happen to sort of enjoy some of the other pleasures in life, like sticking pieces of metal in their arm, and it's not an exclusive. What I'm trying to sort of say, yes, if you have unprotected sex, there is a chance that you will acquire the disease. If you have safe sex, then you're going to be okay. It's one of those sort of things. It's pretty cut and dry, and these days it's pretty much under control. As long as if you are found to be sort of in that situation, you can, of course, take the regime of drugs, which will put it into remission. It's no longer the big threat it was back in the 80s. Why? Okay, here's number 8. This one gets asked me all the time because I really don't know how to answer it. Why are Thai ladyboys so beautiful? Well, that is a really good question, and I don't have a medical answer. The only one I can put down is that the climate here feminizes the skin in general. The pores on the skin aren't as pronounced here in people in Thailand, so their skin stays softer. Now, men will go through their their change in life, their adolescent change in life, but they don't seem to gain anywhere near the facial hair that we Westerners do. I don't have a medical reason for that, but I think it's again part of the way that society has grown up here in just the general Asia area. They have a specific genetic that is different from Western society. Where that started millions of years ago, or I don't know how long ago. The exodus from Africa, which is the most common belief of evolution of the species, up through Europe, migrating west, to maybe 10,000 years ago, and these people finding the fertile lands in Asia makes it easier for what they call making community and farming, and they settle down. Whereas in Europe and in Central Asia, the the Mediterranean, the climate 10,000 years ago was a lot more harsh, creating harder line people. Does that make sense? That's the best I can do on a scientific basis. Asia is a fertile area. And I think it's to do with genetics. Like you put people into a place where it's easy to farm, easy to grow food. You have plenty of all the things you need to build society and family. You are going to find the family unit becoming a softer unit, if you know what I mean. There's less prevalence of war, between groups of people. Anyway, don't want to go much more into that because that just rambles on into another thing. We can definitely sort of talk about that one-on-one, or I could sort of maybe sort of pull out some more information and see if I can find something that would support those ideas of my thinking. But generally, another thing is why are they in Thailand specifically more beautiful? I just think that they try harder. The girls here are quite feminine, quite beautiful on their native, genetic side, right? And the ladyboys, they just simply try harder to be better. So they learn makeup skills better. They learn everything better. They learn how to speak better. They learn how to purport themselves better, because they want to be better than the girls. Here we go. Number 9. Can I marry a ladyboy? This is a real curly question that I get asked all the time. And also specifically in our case, I quite often get asked, why am I not marrying Shania? Quite simply is, there is no legal there's no legal area that gives me any better foothold here in Thailand. What I'm referring to is the fact that I'm on an OA retirement visa, which is available to anybody over the age of 50. I choose to I should have brought water with me. I choose to put money into a Thai bank account to secure my retirement visa renewal process, and that was the simplest method that I could find to deal with the situation. That money, of course, is 800,000 baht or more. So, if I was married to a Thai girl, I get the option of reducing that financial holding down to 400,000 baht, or again, equivalent money as a monthly income sort of scenario. But Thailand government does not recognise the marriage between the same gender. And quite frankly, Ladyboys here in Thailand, they are precluded from changing their birth gender, right, for their whole life here in Thailand. That's the bottom line, right? They will have male IDs. It's as simple as that, right? It doesn't matter how beautiful how they are, doesn't matter how much gender change that they've undergone, right? They will always be male, and they will always be recognised under the legal system as male. So, getting married, well, we do plan to, me and Shania do plan to have a Buddhist wedding and have family come in and do all the sanctification of the union, which is what I'm looking for in that relationship, just to really solidify that situation across the family unit. And I'm talking about both sides of the family. That wedding will probably be 300 to 400 people, right? They will all see us making our vows and our commitments. We've done a few videos of this marriage process. We will probably do more of that before I'm comfortable with the process. I don't want to go in there looking like a complete novice, and that's anything that precludes me from doing it now. I like to know what I'm doing. I like to understand the ritual and the preparation and the words that are being spoken, if you know what I mean. But on the legal side, there's no point. Simply, there is no advantage on marrying a ladyboy here in Thailand, because it just simply will not be recognised. Of course, marriage is an angle that people under the age of 50 can take if they want to retire here earlier, if they get the financial means to do that. Not always a safe bet. I've heard of many people doing that, and really doesn't work for them, Some people it just simply doesn't work, But if the marriage is a marriage of convenience, well, guess what? It's missing one primary thing, that connection, that heart connection. So work on the connection before you think about jumping into the marriage situation just to save 400,000 baht. That could be my only advice there. Anyway, and wrapping up to number 10, and this is the one that really does get asked the most, and the one that you've probably been wanting me to divulge more about. Can I hook you up with one of our Ladyboy girlfriends? Sorry, it's quite simply, I'm not a dating agency. I don't know, is this sort of something that's expected? I know when in our younger teen years and in our early 20s and probably late 20s even, you'd hang around with your mate that had the pretty girl in the hope of picking up one of her girlfriends. Well, that started with you hanging out, right? This day of the internet and the way the internet works, like you're just a contact on my Facebook, right? I've got to know first if you're the right sort of person that I could introduce to the people I know. That doesn't happen by message, even a conversation over 4 hours on Facebook Messenger. I will never know if you're the sort of girl that I could then, with confidence, walk up to one of our friends and just say, look, I've been talking quite seriously with this guy from somewhere for 4 hours, right? He's looking for a ladyboy girlfriend, and I can vouch for him. Well, sorry, this is not going to happen. I've got to know you. Now, the people I know, and over the last 2 years, yes, there is a couple that I have been having ongoing conversations with, but again, they actually haven't asked me if I could help them hook up. It's an odd one, that one. So the ones that are genuinely exploring the idea of dating and having a serious relationship are not coming to that point of leveraging who I know. That tells me a lot about the different types of people and what they're seeking out there. Bottom line is, I'm going to have confidence in our understanding and our relationship. That's going to mean, you visiting Thailand 2 or 3 times, us hanging out, having a few beers, partying, going somewhere. Quite happy to go and, show you where the girls hang out down in Nana Plaza or Soy Cowboy or Pat Pong. No problem. I can show you where they are. I can help identify, right, that side of who they are, right? I have no interest in those people, right, in dating those people or even recommending dating those people. But I can definitely still, help you with the identification process. But, right, I'm not going to be your wingman. You know what I mean? It's one of those sort of things, right? Alternatively, finding those girls, you are going to find them around those areas as well, quite predominantly, because especially the ones over 35, they're the ones that are genuinely looking for somebody to help support their lifestyle or support living together. I always come back to this thing here. If you're looking at living in Thailand, do you want to be under the control of the person you are seeking to have a partnership with, right? Basically, they are the ones they're going to be the Thai national. They're going to be ones that know all the ins and outs of Thailand, and you are always going to be leveraging their understanding, right? And you're always going to be like, the omega in the relationship when it comes to those sort of things. I always sort of say the best way to deal with this thing here is, if you're seriously looking at staying here in Thailand or living here in Thailand, deal with the situation as a single first. Get a foothold, right? Which means take a 6-month lease on an Airbnb or an apartment or something like that. You can get them out west here for, seriously, you can get them like 6,000 baht a month, right? For a 2-bedroom apartment out here in Nong Kem is just one example. It doesn't require a Thai to really help you with that. We could probably help you sort of, be introduced to somebody who will deal with that. But it's going to be up to you to front up and pay the 3 months rent in advance, sign in the paperwork, understanding the paperwork you're signing, right? Understanding the risk involved of your lack of knowledge on how the situation works, right? Because quite frankly, you as a foreigner renting a Thai residence here, there is a legal framework that you do have that supports you, but really, to be honest, unless of course you're going through an estate agency style rental agreement, half the rentals out here are done privately, right? It's done on a piece of paper, and if you do the wrong thing, if you upset the neighbours, you will find yourself and your belongings kicked out of the house very, very quickly, right? With absolutely zero leg to stand on, because there's no legal support, because you have been paying a rental agreement to a Thai person which doesn't remit their income to the taxation department and support all the legal framework right, for those rental agreements. So basically you're stuck. If you're going to be looking at it, taking, like there's a few websites out there for Thai real estate, you can look into those. I know a couple. Contact me on my Facebook and I'll send you the links. But quite frankly, it's going to come down to that sort of situation. The legal framework, like taking a condo, you are protected, right? You are now more protected. There's been more laws introduced in the last 12 months that protects those rental agreements for you, right? But get yourself a foothold. Be a single here in Thailand, right? Learn the ways and customs of Thailand, and then start looking for a partner. That will give you 100% more posture in the situation, because you're not coming at an angle as I need help. You're not a what they Farang Kinok. You're not an idiot. You're not an idiot with your money. You're not a bird shit brain, if you know what I mean. Which is what the term basically means. It's just somebody who's just really ripe for exploitation. Anyway, I hope this was really information that was something that you guys out there, you explorers, can use and find useful. Again, I'm going to do more of this stuff. I can cover more of these topics in more depth. I just really want to, come at it from an angle. As for these questions that I've done here, this is from the conversation yesterday, partly, and from other conversations that people have had with me over the last few months. I also wanted to apologise for the other video I did, my Ladyboy girlfriend. The audio quality wasn't the best there because this camera system on this this microphone system in the camera has a noise cancellation feature, and I wasn't really aware of the hum that the air conditioner was making in the room. Again, and I have high fidelity headphones when I cut these videos. Their audio was probably 10 dB down from normal, but quite audible. If you're trying to listen to those sort of things on headphones, on a mobile device, you're going to be struggling. Sorry about that. I will attempt to do those sort of things better. But again, like I have 10 patrons on my Patreon account. If I had 100 patrons, subscribing there, and I can sort of see some sort of support for me buying better equipment, well, then maybe I'd do it. Right? Maybe I'd go out and spend that. Like I think I've seen the next camera I'd like, but it's 45,000 baht. Quite like that's that's closer to currently that's nearly $2,000 for a new camera. This camera works fine. Right, it meets my needs to present to you, my audience, my thoughts and feelings, and our adventures here, and our lifestyle, and what we do here in Thailand. Right, I never wanted to purport to be, a documentary channel with, a crew of 10 people and audio and visual and everything else like that, or even spend the time to, Stephen does a great job of his edits. Ethan does a great job of his edits. Two of my mates here in Thailand who are also vloggers. Love their work. But quite frankly, I'm trying to get information across as best as I can, as true from the heart as I can. The way I can do that is by the support from the patrons, right, in the channel, right, and of course people who watch the videos. Right? I'm not begging for money. Right? I'm trying to provide a service here, and quite frankly, there's plenty of people out there providing services for money. I'm not asking for money, but I see those support channels encourage me to do better than I currently do. It also encourages me to take a risk on spending 45,000 baht on a new camera, that it will improve the quality of the videos. I don't know. I could spend 45,000 baht and it might be 2% better than the camera I'm using now. So to me, that would be a loss. And you know me, I'm pretty heavy on the profit and loss situations. I don't go into anything at all unless, of course, I can see I come out in front. Anyway, Hope you found that information useful, and we'll catch up with you guys next time. Peace out, and don't forget to hit that like button, guys. It really does help the channel. The more people liking, the more enthusiasm I get for doing these cutting edge styles of videos. So, see you soon. Bye for now.